Hey guys, last set of notes on the appendicular skeleton today. It's almost test time. We're looking at Thursday for your exam. Going to be just like the ones in class. We've got review time. Check the stream for info about what's due when. It's all reasonable, just like in class, with the 1, 2, 3 days setting you up till the exam. It'll be perfect. So today we're going to go lower leg to foot. Tibia, fibula, tarsals, metatarsals, phalanges. Not much to say about metatarsals and phalanges. They're really similar to metacarpals and phalanges in the hand, so we're good. And you guys have seen the pictures, I think, of my poor neighbor's dog and his poor metacarpal. That cast is as big as that dog. So for your tibia, we're going to start there. Remember, your tibia is the larger and anterior, forward bone of your lower leg. If I kick you in the shin, that's your tibia. It's big, it's substantial, and it's designed for weight bearing. The tibial plateau is the top. We talked about that with the kid with the fracture with the they call me nasty long jump. Crack the tibial plateau from the impact from the two condyles of the femur. The plateau, like geography plateau, is a flat spot on the top. So the condyles of the femur sit on that. The sides of your tibial plateau are considered to be still condyles, with the medial one on the inside of your leg and the lateral on the outside. Condyles form joints. That's been the overarching thing. Condyles form joints to go with processes or for muscle attachment. This is just the flat spot where it sits and what makes the hinge joint work. Very different from the wrench on your elbow. Tibial tuberosity. Please remember this is on your tibia. Tibial tuberosity. I like it because they both start with T's. I think it's an alliteration. We'll go to English class there. You have a bump on the front of your tibia. It's not exactly easy to feel, but it's important. It's a process, a tuberosity, and it's where the tendon that holds your kneecap attaches. Remember, the patella is a sesamoid bone. It doesn't really connect to another bone. It's encased in a tendon and held flat against the patellar surface of the femur. So that's why you need the tibial tuberosity to hold that tendon on. The malleoli are important. My professor called them malleoli. But that's one of those things when you go malleoli, you have to try to find the letters. I say malleoli. Malleolus is singular. Malleoli is plural, like alumnus and alumni. Good Latin pluralization. You have two rounded bumps on your ankle, and if you look at your ankle, you see them. I can see one better than the other. I still got that interesting ankle. So the medial versus lateral malleolus. Think medial and lateral. Medial is the inside of your leg. It's the one closer to the other leg. It's the inside. So the medial malleolus. Malleolus means hammer, like mallet. The medial malleolus is the bump on the inside of your ankle. When you think of an ankle, you think of a bump on the inside, a bump on the outside, and like a foot in between. So it's the bump on the inside. Because of my ankle thing, and because of you guys needing to know medial versus lateral, I think you being able to say tibia is the medial malleolus and fibula, the lateral, is important. You need to know which one is on which bone. You've got generic styloid processes on your ulna and radius. We didn't bother to name them medial and lateral. On your ankle, we are saying medial is on the tibia, lateral on the fibula. Hint, hint, you should probably remember that. The fibula is boring like the radius. The fibula is not part of your knee joint. It is part of your ankle. The head is the flat proximal end. It tucks up under the tibial plateau near your knee, but is not part of your knee. And then it's a fibula. It's this little skinny bone, if you look at the diagram, that's on the outside of your leg. People use fibulas for bone grafts, because you can walk pretty good without one. It's not ideal, but like missing a fibula, you're going to be okay. Like I said, mine's not attached. Mine's like free range in my ankle, kind of. It's all right. It's kind of attached. But it doesn't really bother me. It's not like all of a sudden I fall over because my fibula like flaps out. It doesn't do a lot. Your tibia bears your weight, so it's the important part. Like I said, if you look at the medial versus lateral, your fibula is your lateral bone in your leg, and has your lateral malleolus. It's the bump on the outside of your ankle. It's right on the outside of your foot where it ends up. So that's going to be your difference. And again, I'm telling you medial versus lateral in those two bones is important because your fibula is lateral in the leg, and it'll help you remember that too. Interosseous space, same idea as the chicken wing, your ulna and radius. You have a space between your tibia and your fibula as well. Scrolling down, that's all for that. And we're going to move on to the ankle and foot. There you go, ankle and foot. That's a nice picture because it also shows the fibula and your lateral malleolus in that one. We didn't memorize any of the names of your carpals. I did point out the pisiform as the round bone on the outside, and I pointed out the hamate because it's commonly fractured in baseball players when hit by a pitch. I pointed those out. But your tarsals are the short bones of the posterior foot, and there are two that really make a difference structurally, and a third I'm going to talk about quickly. Your talus is the top one between the tibia and fibula. It makes the ankle joint. It's the part of the foot that sits between the two malleoli. Your calcaneus is your heel bone. It is really it's a short bone, but it's an ugly, lumpy short bone. The carpals are much neater than the tarsals. The tarsals are all kind of weird shapes. You do not need to memorize the other ones. Navicular means boat-shaped. Cuneiform, if you remember in history classes, like that square angular writing that I think the Sumerians did. Vague memories of that. And cuboid means cube-like. The cuboid, I'm finding out, is a nasty little bugger with sports injuries. I believe that a friend of mine who runs with me has something wrong with the cuboid right now. If you look at it, it's sitting right behind the metatarsals, and I didn't realize there's something called a cuboid dislocation or cuboid syndrome, where that bone slides out of place. Kind of like you go to the chiropractor if your back's out of place, those tarsals can misalign too. And if you look at that cuboid and imagine it popped up or down, the alignment of your whole foot is going to be off. The alignment of the tendons that attach to it are going to be off. And you're going to have pain the whole way through your foot. The cuboid is a decent size, not as big as the talus and calcaneus, but still big enough to be a problem with your ankle, your heel, and the whole lateral side of your foot. Cuboid syndrome, I'm just seeing, is actually a common running foot injury that I didn't know about. I knew plantar fasciitis, obviously ankle sprains. I just found out that it's really pretty likely, I think they said 40% of ankle sprains will dislocate the cuboid also because of the twisting motion to the foot. And there's something called the cuboid whip, where you turn somebody on their stomach and snap their foot to get it back in place. Yuck. Don't even want to think about that. I watched a guy push somebody's back in place yesterday. So if you look up cuboid syndrome or cuboid relocation, you probably are going to find something on YouTube of somebody putting somebody's foot back in place. That's a new one for me. The metatarsals are the long bones of your foot. They make up the arch. If you've heard someone say, I'm flat-footed, and I am, and if you were in school, you would get to watch me stand like a duck and watch my arches disappear. I actually leave duck prints when I get out of the pool, like wider at the toe, narrower at the heel, and completely flat. I don't have an arch. I have no arch along the bottom of my metatarsals. Normally, you'll have some arch, and a high arch is when you have a lot. We number them 1 through 5, from big toe to little toe, and the big toe is a thing on the foot. It has its own special name. We have the same thing with the phalanges that we did in the hand, where my fingers have 3 and my thumb has 2. My 2nd through 5th toes have 3 phalanges. Think about how tiny the distal phalanx, the last little bone in your little toe, is. And remember, it's still technically a long bone. Your big toe is so special it has other names. Like this is a thumb. This isn't like finger 1, it's thumb. In Great Britain, they call your big toe the great toe. I don't think toes are great. I don't think you can use great with toe. That's not it. But they call it the great toe. And the scientific name for your big toe, which is pretty cool, is the hallux. Hallux. The hallux is the big toe. Did I know that before I taught anatomy? No. But that's your last fun fact for the day. That wraps up your appendicular skeleton notes. You've gotten them all in pretty much a week or a little bit more. Definitely worth reviewing. You can always rewatch the lectures, read through the notes. Got a test coming up, and we are going to review for it this week. Sounds great.